It's all things UConn in the Connecticut sports world, a look at the great things happening for the Huskies. Plus, Governor-elect Dan Malloy has hit the ground running. We're going to take a look at the work behind the transition, and we're going to talk about the work his new administration will have cut out for it. Hi, you're watching The Real Story. I'm Lori Perez. There is no disputing UConn is hot right now with major wins in football and men's and women's basketball. Here for a closer look are Jeff Jacobs of The Current. Thanks, Jeff, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Lori.
And also Fox Connecticut sports director Rich Capola. Rich, thanks for taking time.
I feel like a new weather guy over here.
Do you have a good weather story?
I don't.
All right. Thanks, guys, for being here. I know there's so many good things happening with UConn. Talk about how much of a difference and how great this is, or how big this is for UConn to be in the BCS.
Well, I think that they've had national championships out there, men and women in basketball, and there's been kind of a finality and a grandeur to that. But this is something that in the middle of the basketball season that has sort of just kind of come upon us rather quickly and lifted everybody. I think everybody's just getting a big kick out of it to actually play in this BCS game. Having gone to the University of Missouri and been a long-time rival of Oklahoma, it's absolutely startling to me that they'd be playing the Sooners in a big-time bowl.
Now, does this single achievement, a great achievement as it is, does that immediately have an impact on recruiting and that kind of thing?
I think these steps along the way, I think certainly do. The football stadium, the facilities on campus for training, all those things combined. And I think this is just another aspect to this. A lot of people said that a lot of things couldn't be done. You know, basketball, Big East never happened, and look how that worked out. Football going to 1A. All those things, it's another layer of accomplishments.
Why are they getting so much flack for the league that they're in? I mean, you can only beat the people that you're scheduled to play.
You want the honest answer?
Yeah.
Because they don't belong to be in the game.
But but you can only beat the people that you're scheduled to play. I mean,
no one has been a bigger. I've defended them they're right up and down. Technically, they belong in the game because they won the Big East. But the thing is set up to get the best 10, 12 teams in there. They're not one of the 10, 12 best teams. But they won the league fair and square, and here they are, and they're a big underdog. And I think they'll probably, all the pressure's on Oklahoma. Oklahoma has nothing to win by this and a lot to lose. And UConn can go out there and have some fun and make some noise. And I think it's fixing to be a good experience, I think, for UConn. I don't see it 62-0 or something. I see within 2 touchdowns.
I mean, could they win, or?
Well, listen, I'm going to disagree with Jeff from the standpoint of I understand what you're saying, but I think they do belong. There's a lot of things that never work out. It's like picking all-star games and stuff. This guy should go, this guy should go. Only a certain amount of guys can go. That stuff never works out. This is the way it is. When you're talking about how the Yankees do things, people complain about that. And if I'm in a small market, I don't blame them. But you know what? They're doing it by the rules, and they pay a luxury tax. So UConn did what they had to do to get in the game. So from that standpoint, I say they belong in the game. Can they win? Listen, anything can happen in sports. Could the U.S. hockey team beat the Russians? Of course not. And they did. It's a huge task ahead of them, though.
Okay, another thing that's kind of surprising, right, this early in the season is how well the UConn men's basketball team has done. They were unranked, then they had the couple big wins in Hawaii. All of a sudden they jump into number 9 or 7, depending on the
up to 6 now.
Right?
Well, look, they went to Hawaii. They got on a plane to Hawaii, and they were picked 10th in the Big East. They returned home as one of the top 10 teams in the nation. So, knocked me over with a feather. But I will say this, Kemba Walker, he's fixing to be the best player we've seen here at UConn in a long list of players in a performance in one season. And you just can't, one thing you can't say enough about is the excitement around player Maya Moore, Kemba Walker, Jordan Todman in each of the sports. So that in itself is really exciting.
And Rich, you had brought up a good point that despite the excitement around Kemba Walker, attendance has not been great. I mean, we've seen that declining over the past few years, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a concern, and it's certainly a sign of the times. The last, there was a time, and Jeff, you were at the Civic Center or the Gamble all the time as well, and crowds where the place was packed. They never had to have commercials about tickets and stuff like that. And the last few years they have it, and this year I think the Current ran something just yesterday. It's even less than at this point last year. So that certainly is a concern, especially when you have a team that's defending national champions 2-time and a young team that is has made a name for itself early in the season.
I mean, do you think that we'll start to see attendance pick up if they continue continue to win more games, I would imagine.
I do, but we're spoiled and we're unemployed.
Yeah.
That's my only explanation.
It's a bad combination.
Yeah.
And also a lot of excitement, of course, about Maya Moore and the UConn women.
Well, it's just, I don't know what to say else about them. They've been great. This thing is going to bring a lot of comparisons up to UCLA and the men. Kind of makes me kind of uncomfortable because there's a real apples and oranges argument to that. I prefer to look at national championships against your own peers, and in that respect, Stanford and Baylor are out there, and they just seem to find new and inventive ways to keep on winning.
Right. How big of a deal do you think it will be, Rich, if they tie and then break the record?
Well, obviously, it's huge. I mean, and the thing that, and Jeff's right, because there's such a huge difference, and this isn't a knock on the women at all, but there's a big difference from a competitive standpoint in the women's game and in the men's game. And Gino R.M. is the first to say, look, you can't really compare it with UCLA winning 88 straight in the men's game. But you can control what you can control, as you alluded to before. It's a record. They've already surpassed the record in women's basketball at any conference, any Division III school. So it's huge. It's something that'll be around for how many years? I mean, who's going to come and do the same thing and duplicate that? It'll be around for a long time.
I wanted to ask you to go back to basketball, Jeff. Obviously there's been some unfortunate news surrounding the football team with one of the players being arrested on alleged child pornography charges. Is that going to be a distraction as they head to the BCS game, or?
Well, the kid's a redshirt freshman, and he wasn't playing, so I do not think it'll be a distraction on the field. Look, you go big-time college sports, there's a lot of sins that are committed and a lot of things you have to endure. The highs and lows are enormous. Yeah. And I think with Jasper Howard's murder and now this charge again, it just goes to show in the BCS, it just shows you what a roller coaster of ethics, morality, and excitement on the field that it all can bring.
What does Coach Etzel do in these next few weeks to prepare his team for this type of game of this stature?
Well, they're going to be prepared, obviously. They're facing a team that the speed of their defense is something that's going to be really tough to deal with. I think they're going to go out and try and try to make it as normal as possible, even though it isn't. Prepare for it like you would any other game, knowing there's a lot more at stake, and just do what you can. Try and play to your strengths. But going back to what you said a moment ago, I think he proved last year, Coach Etzel, that from the way he led the program through Jasper Howard, I mean, almost nothing can be a deterrent to this team because he's such a great leader.
Does he talk to them about making this an experience, or does he talk to them about playing to win?
Well, first of all, he's got to be there because there's a lot of rumors right now. He could go to Miami, and we'll see on that. I think it's a kind of an odd dance as a match, Miami and Randy Etzel, because they've been a renegade program that cleaned itself up. But now that I don't know what he could clean up more and win. They want to win now. I think he'll preach that he's an underdog, yeah. and they have everything to win. And I think he's got to be concerned about putting the ball up in the air because I think they'll stack the box like crazy to stop Jordan Todman.
Excellent. Well, lots of exciting things for UConn happening, and we appreciate both of you covering them both so well.
Thanks a lot, Laura.
Thanks a lot. Well, up next, the work behind Governor-elect Dan Malloy's transition to the state's top office.